Happy Friday, everybody. It is the end of the work week. It's the start of the weekend, and basketball's on TV. The weather's great. People are just enjoying this, what I call Chamber of Commerce weather day, because it was like almost perfect. The only downside was late this afternoon, and a lot of you messaged me and called in and talked about it. Had a bunch of haze, smoke kind of pour into the region. So let's get right into what's going on out there. This is a live look from our WCNC tower cam. Pretty hazy out there. It actually improved a little bit. We had high clouds come in, so this isn't all smoke, but I'll show you a couple different views out there. Out in Anson County, an area we thought we'd see a ton of smoke to the north. Uwharrie National Forest, Morrow Mountain, they're doing controlled burns. There are so many controlled burns across the southeast. I would say 99% of this is from prescribed burns. Time of year when land managers, Forest Service, they try to burn up that winter dead vegetation. They want to get it out of the way. It's good for the ecosystem, but it also prevents larger fires. But what happened today is we've had several big fires down in South Carolina, and the southwest wind has unfortunately blown the smoke right up towards us. So with the smoke being the heaviest in mid to late afternoon, it kind of hit us all at once here. But the good news is the wind will shift a little bit overnight. Those fires calm down at night, and we should see things kind of subside. But tomorrow, more of a west-northwest flow a little bit. That might bring a little different wind direction for some of you and some smoke. So if you're seeing or smelling it out there, nothing's on fire near you for the most part. This is coming from distant fires in many cases. If you are a little bit closer to one, you'll probably know exactly where that fire is. Today, I call it Chamber of Commerce weather because this is like perfect. I mean, cool, crisp morning, 75 in the afternoon. That to me is like one of the best temperatures, especially with no humidity. Felt great. 10 degrees above average, but 10 degrees below our record. So kind of nice. But this morning we started chilly. 38's below our average of 42. So dry air in place certainly provides it. Now, you notice some of these showers to the northeast of us. This is what we call a northwest flow event. And what I mean by that is at the low levels, the winds down here at the ground, this is why we saw the smoke, is coming from the southwest. But you go up around 15, 20,000 feet, which steers storms and clouds, the winds are coming from the northwest, and that is providing this northwest flow. So we're going to watch showers and storms maybe develop to our northwest and then move in around the giant ridge of high pressure in the middle of the country, this massive heat wave which is taking over most of the country. Temperatures right now in the 70s, so we still have that southwest wind. Tonight, not as cool. The last 3 nights, we've been either in the 20s or 30s, so we've started chilly. We're going to start in the mid-50s tomorrow, so quick warm-up. We should easily get into the low 80s tomorrow, even with cloud cover around in the morning. You see the overnight lows dropping pretty quickly into the 60s, so we should manage to get into the low 80s tomorrow, maybe mid-80s in a few locations. That's even with clouds, but the winds will shift a little from the southwest, more so to the west, and so that might help the smoke for some of us, might make it worse for others. But that flow is kind of interesting because with a little disturbance coming over the mountains, might be just enough energy to kick off a very isolated thunderstorm. And I should emphasize isolated because most areas will not see rain. But the storms that do develop tomorrow potentially could have hail in them. This is kind of a notorious hail setup for us. We get these supercells that form in this northwest flow, and that could tend to lead to hail-producing storms. So what am I talking about? Let's go hour by hour. No issues during the day, honestly, tomorrow. Most of us will be completely dry. But look, by 6 o'clock, so 5, 6, 7 o'clock in the evening, you'll see very isolated thunderstorms developing, especially in this area, right around the Charlotte area, Rock Hill, Chester, Lancaster area. These storms could be mini supercells, and there's enough what we call lapse rate for this to produce some significant hail in isolated locations. So maybe golf balls, but certainly 1-inch diameter hail, certainly not out of the realm of possibility. So there is a low-end risk for some isolated severe storms tomorrow. Now, the main concern most prominently is going to be that hail risk. We're not worried too much at all about wind, though there is a small elevated wind risk. Tornado looks pretty close to zero, flooding zero as well. There's just not enough rain. So it's really about hail and wind for any storms that develop. So just a heads up tomorrow. Around this time, we might be tracking a few isolated storms. Tune in to Becca and Brittany here on WCNC and WCNC Plus. We'll keep you up to date on what's happening. Now, pollen forecast, man, it's bad today. It's really bad. It's getting worse. If the smoke didn't get you, certainly the pollen would, because the pollen levels are through the roof. And right now we're seeing sweet gum, pine, and cedar being the primary pollens. And pine is definitely showing up. I mowed the lawn today. It's all over the place. You can see it clearly. on everything. And this heat wave is going to persist through the weekend. So low 80s on Saturday look like we'll be safe from a record, but Sunday's going to be close. It's 89, okay? That's set back in 1907. So there's a chance we could get really close. The average high is 66. So I will call that hot. That is going to be hot. Not really muggy, but at least hot. It'll be a dry heat. And speaking of 90, if you're going to Darlington this weekend, down there in Darlington County, if you're heading down to the PD region, it is going to be toasty. Mid-80s Saturday, 90 on Sunday. So that race, I mean, that's a hot spot to begin with, and normally not in March. If you're heading down there, lather up on the sunscreen. You'll certainly need it because it will be very toasty for that race. Now, going into the weekend, it looks like a great weekend all in all, outside of the small severe weather risk Saturday night. So if you're planning around that, most of Saturday is going to be good. If you get to Saturday evening, dinner time-ish, 5, 6, you got a cookout going on, maybe you want to do something out on a patio, just be ready, especially around Charlotte South, the potential for a couple isolated strong storms. And then Sunday, probably more sunshine than we're going to see on Saturday. And with that full sun and a west-southwest wind, 90 is definitely reachable. This would be our first 90 of the year, pretty early for 90. The earliest we've ever hit 90 was on St. Patrick's Day, I believe, in 1945. So that was earlier this week. So that kind of shows you that the week of St. Patrick's Day is like the earliest we ever see 90, and that potential could exist coming up on Sunday. Here's a look at your Jerry Hunt Supercenter 7-day forecast. We'll look at that first. You see the warm weekend. Charlotte FC home match, again, perfect weather for that. Sunday, you're looking at temperatures probably around 90, still near 80 on Monday. It's been a crazy hot March. I know the cold weather this week kind of was like a return to winter briefly, but most of this month is going to end up being above average. Even with the slight cool down on Tuesday, Wednesday, we're right back in the 70s and 80s by the end of the week. And notice not a lot of rain chances. We talked about the isolated chances tomorrow. It's even more isolated next week. I am really hoping we can just get a pretty good cold front to move down here at some point here in April and May, maybe several of them, and kind of camp out for a little bit. That would be ideal. That would set the stage for some prolonged wet weather, which we need. The drought monitor came out yesterday. We talked about how dry it's been and how we've kind of stabilized things a little bit. We haven't gotten worse, but we haven't gotten better. It's about time we start getting better because especially with the growing season going on, everything's green and growing. It's using moisture, so we need that rain. So stick around. Coming up, Tim is not here today. We've got Alex Williams from WFMY. We'll talk about this severe weather risk, the heat, and the crazy heat out west. Stick around. That's 2 minutes away.